Caution. It is important that you consult a physician and a trainer or coach before you begin. You should have a medical checkup before starting any exercise program.
General description of the center position. It's a big man in the middle, tall and intimidating players. No one ever looks at point guard's height to see how tall they are on the roster. What do you look at when you go into an opposing gym? Look at the media guide. Find out how tall they are, don't you? You talk to college coaches, and you always ask them, what are you looking for? I deal with a lot of college coaches, send a lot of coaches, players, and say, Coach, what do you need this year? First thing out of every college coach's mouth, 9 out of 10 times, I need a big guy. How important is the center? John Wooden, the coach of UCLA, won 10 NCAA national championships, said he only recruited 2 positions ever in this order. What do you think the other one was? You got it. In that order. How many can remember a famous point guard that UCLA had?
Bill Walton.
Point guard?
Point guard?
No. The UCLA. How can you remember a famous point guard before, when John Wooden was there? Nobody remembers the little guys, see? You remember the centers from UCLA, don't you? Which is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Lou Alcindor became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Bill Walton, Swen Nader. Did you ever hear of him? He played in the NBA for a lot of years. He played behind Bill Walton. Newspapers all around the country said Swen Nader is the second best center on campus and in the country. And he was. Phenomenal center. All right, that's how important the center is. If you're a center, just because you're big, it doesn't relieve you of responsibility to be better. You have to get better. It will make your team better. It will make you more valuable. You have to get better. Being big is not enough. Center needs to have excellent post-up and post-move skills and be an excellent post passer. He needs to have a good mid-range jump shot. The center is a natural leader on and off the floor because of their size and stature. As a center, it's important you realize this and use it to your advantage to help your team and set the pace for your teammates. Probably the 2 most important positions on the basketball court are the center and the point guard. Centers should and need to control the low post and have the ability to be a threat from the blocks. If you are a threat from the blocks, it opens up other opportunities for your teammates. And if you are not a threat, then you're simply a player with a jersey and a liability to your team offensively.
Center, I really feel, should be the best low post scorer on your team. He's got to be your go-to guy on the inside. When you need a basket and your best chance of scoring inside, you've got to go to your center. I think he's one that has got to be able to understand where and how to get position and when to score, when to pass it out for a 3 or to an open teammate for a mid-range jumper. And he's also, I think, the real hard thing for good centers to understand is to play slow. A lot of times they want to get the ball and go right away. If they play slow, they can set up their teammates, or they also have a better chance of scoring themselves and be able to take advantage of which way the defense is playing them.
Good instincts of when to dive into the post and when to pin a post defender. Now, what do we mean by that? Dive into the post. You have to know when. Timing is everything. You might be on this side of the court as a 5-man. The ball's over here. Defender's here. This is not a very good time with the ball on the other half of the court to be fighting this guy for position, is it? Stand up and relax. What's just happened is somebody came down and screened for this guy. He comes up. Ball comes here. Now all of a sudden you take a little dive and then you fight like a madman to seal and get position. Does that make sense? Don't burn all your energy fighting for position at the wrong time. By the same token, you have to know when to go to the ball. If you wait for the ball to come to you, you're going to have long streaks of not getting the ball in your hand. So if you're the 5-man, ball just gets passed to this side and you don't have anybody here in the post, maybe the 4 guys high, cheat and dive into that block right there or right here. That's what it means by diving into the post. Go to the ball. If you want to shoot the ball, you want to have possessions, you have to go to the ball. Has to be a low post threat. Have to have low post moves. More often than not, these are more finesse moves. Like hook shots, jump hooks, fadeaways. Those are finesse type of moves. Not always the case. The best finesse center of all time was who? Without question. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was far and above, in my mind, the best offensive center of all time. Just without question. Tremendous player, had great hook shots nobody could touch, wasn't physically very strong, but he was a physical presence because of his height. But tremendous touch around the basket. It's a bonus if you also have power moves, isn't it? Sure. Later in Kareem's career, you know, he put on about 20, 25 pounds. He wasn't so thin. He'd added muscle, his body filled out a little bit, and he actually would get in the post, start to turn one way, defender would cut him off in the middle, and he would do a drop step and do a little put back into the basket. So he got better at post moves, post power moves as his career went on. He's one of the team's better scorers. Definitely a go-to guy. When you need points in the paint, this has to be the person. 9 out of 10 times. If you have a tall center that's decent, I had a 7-foot center on my team in high school. Great guy, but very thin. Wasn't much of a post player. He could get offensive rebounds and put them back in. Had good agility, but he had no physical strength. Hadn't worked on a finesse game to push himself away from a defender, so he was limited to getting offensive boards or taking open shots. He wasn't really our go-to guy. And so that's one criteria. Typically, you want them to be good interior and exterior passer. Has to be able to throw a good pass back out to guards, small forwards, point guards, whoever's open. The better passer your center is, the better your team's going to be. Because a lot of offenses revolve around that position in the blocks, whoever you have down there. So if they can hit people along the perimeter on the outside, that's definitely to your advantage. You have a post player here, you got help defense, this person's collapsed, this person's trying to collapse. If he can see, if this person comes all the way down here, this defender comes all the way down there, teammates open, if you got a center that can see that and throw that pass for a catch and shoot, that's a great passing center, isn't it, Coach? They can throw that skip pass. That's just a little skip pass. That's something that can be practiced and worked on. As far as post play goes, there are a couple simple rules. The lower you are, the bigger you are. The stronger you are, and the quicker you are. Part of the reason for this is when you get low and wide in the post, you cannot get pushed out. And when you're low and wide in the post and you go to make a move, you're already down. You don't need to bend to start your movement. You're already ready to go. If you need to jump, you're already loaded. Your legs are loaded. You're ready to spring up. and you're definitely stronger because it's a lot harder to push you out when your center of gravity moves lower to the ground and you open up. You become a much bigger target, a much bigger player. Centers are good for having quick hits on out-of-bounds plays. They're big targets. They're in close to the basket. Sometimes you can get the defense where they've fallen asleep, and you can get quick baskets that way.